ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So, we will continue with our study of the 6th chapter of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. So, we will be studying today the various states to be attained through yoga to end all suffering. That yoga is dukkha, bhavati dukkha. That yoga entails in end of all suffering. And that is the goal of any being. If in a very broad way we try to define that what's the aim of life, whatever may be our faith, whatever may be our belief, whatever may be our profession, what's the aim of life? Is there any common aim of life that we all have? So very nicely in our Sankhya philosophy it has been indicated that yes, that the moment a child is born, take that small child to the man who is tottering in his sticks, is on the age of his life is going to be over. Is there anyone who wants suffering? No. The aim of everyone is atyantika dukkha nivritti parama sukha prapti. That we want the annihilation of suffering totally, atyantika, and parama sukha prapti, to attain the bliss which is of the superlative degree, which is uninterrupted. Who doesn't want that? So that's the goal, common goal for all of us. And here comes the yoga which has been propounded in the 6th chapter by Bhagavan Sri Krishna as the way to annihilate all suffering. So it's atyantika dukkha nivritti parama sukha prapti. So now today we will be studying from the 20th to the 23rd verse. The 20th, the 21st, the 22nd verse will go on saying that if you attain such a such state, if you attain such and such state, if you attain such and so that 6 such conditions in the first 3 verses from the 20 to the 22nd, 20, 21, 22. 6 such conditions will be spoken of to at last speak of the state of that bliss which is beyond all suffering will be spoken of in the 23rd verse. That if all these 6 conditions are fulfilled, if you can attain these 6 states through yoga, know it for certain that you can annihilate all suffering in this life and attain that bliss which is of the superlative degree, which nothing in this world can be compared to. So what are those 6 states that the 3 verses 20, 21, 22 will be speaking of? So let's start with the 20th verse. Yatra uparate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Yatra means when, where. So that's the first. This yatra uparate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. The second, yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. So the first line, what is it saying? The mind is absolutely restrained through the practice of yoga and has attained quietude. This is the very first condition for our happiness. Even in the present day world, the more and more we get addicted to the internet, you will find the biggest cause of our mental turbulence, the cause of our misery is a constant browsing, constant browsing. So your mind is constantly jumping from thought to thought with the expectation. Now I am going to get the happiness. Now I am going to get the happiness. I am going to see something which is really going to make me happy. And that's how this, with this anticipation, we are going on constantly jumping from one type of contemplation to another. So you will find at last your mind is restless. Throughout your life, if you really find that what was the cause of misery, know it for certain, if we sit down and really try to find out the cause of our misery, first it is the mind. This monkey mind constantly jumping from thought to thought, never allowing me to be in peace with myself. That's the biggest cause of all our misery. So the first condition, that is with that it starts, that have you developed the capacity to be calm. I still remember when I was in Arunachal Pradesh. In Arunachal Pradesh, it's the school for the tribals there, and they are almost the first generation learners. And sometimes we used to get fed up dealing with the students constantly from morning to, this is a residential school, from morning to evening. And of course the children are restless. They will be just now and then creating a lot of mischiefs. Sometimes we used to get totally fed up. And when one of the senior Swami was visiting, and we just related that it seems that all our endeavors are of no use. We know we can help these boys to be trained. And then the Swami told a very interesting thing. Do you have this prayer, morning and evening prayers? Yeah. Do all the students go and sit there in the morning and the evening for half an hour in the morning and half an hour in the evening? Yeah. What's the special in it? It's a discipline. They do it. Well, you have achieved a great thing. To make a child sit for half an hour in the morning and in the evening quietly, you don't know what a big achievement it is. That itself is a very big achievement. Just to sit, you'll find when the child is yet to start walking, all the parents, they're so concerned. Oh, he has not yet started walking. He has not started walking. And then when the child starts walking and then it starts running, and throughout the day you find you cannot keep pace with the child. It will make you fed up. So much restless. But such a child, that Swami told, that this is the thing the Swami was saying. Such a child, when the mother found it's almost impossible to cope up with that child, so restless, and especially in that tribal belt, that mother is coming and giving the child to you and saying, please take care of him. And now they're in the hostel, in the morning, in the evening, in the prayer hours, in the study hours. You make them sit quietly. Do you understand what a big achievement it is? Because that's the thing which is the very first thing, the training the mind to be at peace with yourselves, to be calm. That itself is the biggest training. If we can make our children just to sit, just don't forget about meditation. Sometimes we say for small children, meditation is not something very suitable. They are not supposed to strain their mind by trying to focus because their mind is so restless. But at least can we make them sit quietly for some time? Because the body and the mind are so related. That the example which we give is the body is just like a cup and the mind is just like the water in the cup. If you move the cup, the water will move. They are such related. So if you can just sit quietly, forget about the restlessness of the mind. Let the mind run. Let me just sit quietly. I won't move at all. That itself is a big practice that will help you to calm down the mind. So that's the very first thing they're saying. That the mind, you have to first train it so that it is absolutely restrained. That Sukadeva, these examples are very wonderful. That Sukadeva, when he went to King Janak, his father, the Sukadeva's father, Vyasa, has sent him to the King Janaka, the Videha Janaka, that please teach my child the way of life. The scriptures were actually training. It was just not some doctrine and dogma, that how to live the life, how to internalize the values. Please train him in that. Now Shuka was already an evolved soul. But his father thought that he got all his knowledge, his education, his training from me. Why not someone else who is really an illumined soul, the King Janaka, the Videha Janaka? Why is called Videha? That though he is in his body, he doesn't feel that he is a body. He goes to such a deep state of contemplation that even he is not aware of his body. So that's why his Videha, though in body, he never feels the existence of his body. He has transcended that. So to him he was sent. So when Shuka arrived, for the first 3 days, no one cared for him. Even the security guard who was standing outside, they never welcomed him. He was just standing there. He was totally unperturbed. Nothing disturbed him. He was just calm and quiet. And then after 3 days, what to speak of the security guard, the king himself came and welcomed him and adored him, took him, gave all sorts of treatment, lavish treatment. Sukadeva was calm. Neither he was disturbed by the total negligence, neither he was again elated by all these approbations, adorations which he got. Nothing. And then at last the king welcomed Shuka to the king's court. And there in the king's court, the Janaka knew that why Shukadeva has been sent. Just to teach him, to train him in the ways of life. And now he told that, forget about training. I will give you just a task, an endeavor. If you do that properly, then we will think of training you. What's that? Now in the court, all sorts of merriment was going on. Some musical performance was going on, dancing was going on. So all those things were going on. And now the king gave him a bowl full to the brim with oil and asked Shukadeva to go around the entire, the palace, the court, king's court, without spilling a single drop of oil. And when he just went around and came at last, without spilling a drop of oil, what Janaka told? There is no need for training. Your training is over. So that speaks of the control of the mind. That sometimes we say, how can I meditate? There's some such noises out there. Actually, it speaks of what? That my mind is not concentrated. When I am watching the TV, my favorite match is going on, game is going on, some tournament is going on, someone calls me, I don't hear. What it speaks of, when my mind is really focused, all the distractions are no distractions at all, because my mind doesn't register them. The more the mind gets focused on your object of meditation, the other things are bound to fall off. So if we say that because of those distractions I cannot meditate, I cannot study, so that speaks of what? That my mind is yet to be concentrated. If I'm really focused, the other things are bound to fall off. So this is the training, very first training which we have to go through, to try to train the mind in such a way that I shouldn't be under the sway of the mind. In English they say very nicely that if you make the mind your master, it is the most tyrannical master. It's the most tyrannical. You cannot think of any tyrannical person or people outside in this world. It is the mind itself, the most tyrannical master. But if you can make it your servant, if you don't allow it to be your master, if you can make it your servant, it is the most obedient servant. just what I prompt, it is immediately bound to follow it. And that's the training. That's the first training which is required for really attaining peace in life. So, yatra uparate chittam. At the command, at the will, at my command, at my own will, I can uparati. I can bring back my chitta, my mind, and niruddham, and stop it from interacting with the sensate world. With the sensate world, I can stop interacting. That's the very first condition. This speaks of pratyahara. Ahara. The ahara in Sanskrit means, we generally loosely translate as food. Food is ahara. And scripture speaks of ahara shuddhi, that your food should be very pure. And you will find that we go to the extreme. That food pure means what? I will cook my own food, such this jati dosha, that certain foods are by itself impure, exciting, I will avoid them. Very good. And then some persons may be of very impure character, nimitta. That's called nimitta dosha. And if he's cooking the food and I am taking it, is going to affect my mind. So I won't just eat food cooked by others. I will prepare my own food. And the food may be contaminated by so many other things, like the flies. The food is kept open, it gets contaminated by germs. So I will try to avoid that dosha, and then I will attain ahara shuddhi, purification of my ahara, and then I will be religious, because in scripture it has been mentioned, Upanishad has been mentioned, ahara shuddhi, sattva shuddhi, that your sattva elements gets purified, and sattva shuddhi and dhruva smriti, your mind, intellect will be focused in their object. So food gets a lot of importance. You will find in our traditions, many traditions, food gets a lot of importance. But if you go to Adi Guru Shankaracharya, Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya, very nicely, he is translating the word ahara. He is not denying the fact that food shouldn't be pure. It should be pure. But ahara doesn't mean only the food. Aharate iti ahara. Whatever I am gathering in is ahara. What I am seeing through my eyes is ahara. What I am hearing through my ears is ahara. What I am tasting, that of course is ahara. What I am touching is ahara. Because aharana, what I am gathering in, everything is ahara. That should be pure. Not just food. That's why Swamiji told that when you don't take the religion in proper sense, then what happens? Very strongly in his letter he is writing that what has happened to our religion? That our kitchen has become our shrine, and the pot in which you cook has become your deity. That has become your deity. Because everything lies there, entire religion lies there. That food should be pure. I know that when I was in India, they say that I work for such a company, they are very religious. But that religion, I also don't understand. What? That if you go and open their laptop, the Ganesha's photo will come. Okay, very nice, very devoted person. And then you go and click the file. What? That such a business that they have to acquire some land where there is a small, there's the shop of the betel leaf, that pan. It's a very prime location. So they will be luring him that we will give you some lump sum amount of money, please leave that place. Now if that person doesn't agree, he says, no, for last 3-4 generations we are having this shop, we are poor, but I want to be here, I want to continue. Then you will find there are, that in this file has maintained whom all to contact to totally remove that person. The Ganesha's photo is there. Very nice, Ganesha's photo. They're going to, in India, this religion has gone to that extent. We make a big pomp and show of religion. But the heart is not at all pure. Full of hingsa, full of just how to hurt others. These are the things. So, every age you will find when you go to the scriptures, the real religion we forget. The real religion is the purification of the heart. When Swami Vivekananda was in the West, he told, as he knew that it is the world, it is the land of the Christianity. So if I have to instruct them, if I somehow can reflect on Jesus' teaching, they will easily just take it, because that's their background. And we find in one of the lectures, Swamiji is asserting what very, very nicely he's saying, that this thing that all the religions somehow get destroyed, in all the religions of the world. And somehow only one sentence of Jesus got preserved. What is that sentence? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. That alone is sufficient for all the religions again to evolve. Because that is the essence of religion. This purity of the heart. That how much I can really be in control of my mind. And that speaks of that pratyahara, prati-ahara. That I stop the gathering in of all the senses and can keep my mind just fixed in myself. So that's the idea in the second phrase. What is it saying? That after restricting your mind from interacting with the world, you are at peace with yourself. Now, what you have to do? Now you have to engage the mind in something. What's in what? Yatra chaivatmanatman cha eva atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. Seeing the self by the self. Reside in yourself. In Sanskrit we use the word swastha. Swastha. See, these words we forgot the real meaning. Swastha, when I ask swastha hona in Hindi, I think it just speaks of just the physical health. That I am not having any disease, I am swastha. But the real meaning of swastha is not just this physical lack of physical ailments. The one who is residing in himself, swa me sthita, is swastha. Swastha, the one who is residing in himself. He is swastha. In the present world, that all we find of all these psychological issues is because of that. No one is residing in himself. Swastha, to reside in himself. That speaks of chaiva atmanatmana. Cha eva atmana atmanam. Pashyan atmani tushyati. What it speaks of, or scripture speaks of, it is this world outside is nothing but the self. How it is the self? It is a self which is projecting through the mind and senses, is appearing as this world. So constantly we are projecting the self through the mind and the senses. It is just like a white light falling on the prism, breaking into the spectrum of 7 colors. This outside world of name and form is nothing but the projection of the self. Isha vasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. This world is nothing but to be pervaded by the Lord, because He alone is being projected through my mind and senses. And sometimes you may say, this idea appears to be something foolish. Is this world not there? This tangible table is not there. So we give that example again and again. From that you can get an idea. Just from one sense, if you can get the idea what's happening. When I see the red flower, is the flower really red? No. Even in science, if you really ask a scientist whether the red color is there, no. You also will understand that light is falling on it, a particular wavelength is reflected, it touches my retina, the function of light is over. That light never goes to your brain. When it touches retina, it gets converted into a nerve impulse. What is going to your brain is only a nerve impulse. The brain is dark, no light enters there. And that nerve impulse is interpreted as red color. That red color was in the mind, dormant. It was there dormant. This particular nerve impulse went and activated it. And then it was projected into the flower to give it a sense that it is red. Now all these dormant ideas in the mind cannot be activated unless the self is there behind it. Just in your computer, can the hard disk be activated unless it is connected to the bias voltage? No. All the potentialities are there in the hard disk, but it has to be connected to that bias voltage, and then you can get The keyboard becomes a sense object, so then you get whatever in the screen is your world. That's happening. The self alone is the thing which is being projected through the mind and the senses as all our perceptions. Here I am speaking of red color, just in one instance, but whatever we hear, whatever we see, whatever we touch, the way we are interpreting is nothing but the self projecting itself in particular way, through the mind, through the senses. So it's nothing but the self and self alone. So when we say, Yatra chaiva atmanatmanam atmani eva, this pashyan atmani tushyati, what it is actually speaking? Don't allow the Atman, the self, to project through the mind and the senses to get involved with the world. Dive within. Come, just dive within. And then let the self rest in the self alone. So that's the idea. Let the self rest in the self alone. In the last class also we were giving that example. That as long as our senses are all interacting with the world, we can never commune with our real self. In our scriptures they say, Navadvare pure dehi. The dehi, the self is the dehi. This body is the deha. The one who is residing there is the dehi. The one who is residing there, he is residing in a city which has 9 gates. What are the 9 gates? 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils. 6. Mouth. 7. The organ of evacuation, the organ of procreation. These are the 2. Total 9. So through this 9, we are living in a city which has as if 9 gates. But we never know that someone is really residing there. Why? It is just like a jail. If you go to any jail, you'll find there are 2 gates. You cannot enter directly by opening 1 gate. They always make sure when this outside door is closed, you have to go enter. First they will make sure the inner gate is closed. Then only they will open the outer gate. First they will open. You are between the 2 gates. First they will close the outer gate. Then only they will open the inner gate. These are the security measures they take so that no one can escape. Because always the gate is closed. So when you are entering, first the outer gate will be opened. You are between the 2 gates. Then the outer gate will be closed. Then only the inner gate is open. So similarly, there is a gate in the heart where the self resides. These are all allegories. It is always closed. We never know who is inside it. Why? Because those 9 gates are always open. So the first way to relate to yourself is avritta chakshu, amritattvam icchan. You have to dive within, avritta. So stop this interaction with the world and then dive within. So then only this gate will open. As in the last class we were saying that if you go to these traditional shrines in India, where the deity is sitting, that is called Garbhagriha, the sanctum sanctorum, that's where they are sitting. The sanctum sanctorum will have many gates. Even in our Belur, there are 9 total doors are there. Now when you have to offer something, what the offering is done, when the offering is done, first all the doors are closed. You will find that in the shrine, whenever offering is going on, the doors are closed. What's the idea? That unless you stop interaction with the external world, you can in no way commune with the deity. You can in no way commune with the one who is residing in your heart. So that's the idea, that first pratyahara and then this deep contemplation of the self by the self. So that's, you're not allowing the self to interact with the world. Your contemplation is allowing you to think of the self and self alone, leading to, at last, aparaksha anubhuti. These words are very important. Aparaksha anubhuti. You know, these words are so wonderful, the way they have been coined. You can find the entire philosophies in those words. Paraksha and aparaksha. All our anubhuti, all our perceptions are paraksha. Why? It is with the help of the mind and the senses. We are using the mind and the senses as like a prop we are using. Always the support of that is required for our perceptions. Aparaksha, that when you are residing in yourself, then that gives you an anubhuti, that gives you a feeling which is not in any way related to your mind and senses. You are just what you are. You are absorbed in your amness. So this has stopped. That becomes aparoksha, without the help of the mind and the sentence. Para, I have stopped this my support leaning to something which is not me. So that's the idea which is spoken of in this second line, that seeing the self, by the self, residing in the self. 21st verse, what it is saying? Sukham atyantikam yatvat buddhi grahyam atindriyam vetti yatra nachaivayam sthitas chalati tattvataha. So let's take the first line of the 21st verse. Sukham atyantikam yatvat buddhi grahyam atindriyam. What it is speaking of? That when you really reside in yourself and all your distraction has fallen off, the sukha, the happiness which you gave, is atyantikam. It is of the superlative degree. So this is the thing, sometimes again we don't realize. We think that nothing can be as pleasurable as the sensate joys of life. That in me I am having a craving to have a donut. The moment I get it, the joy which I get, can meditation give me that? The very first question, can meditation really give me that joy? So we will find that all the sensate joys have a lot of limitation. What is the limitation? That when I am having craving, I am restless. The moment I have it, yes, I am satiated for the time being. But am I really satiated? No. Most probably I already have developed the craving for the second. I go for the second. But can I continue? From the morning, most probably at our house, the mother was cooking from morning for 3-4 hours. And then we sit for the meal. How much time it takes? 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you are not gossiping, within 5-10 minutes, food is over. So can you continue with that? Oh, let me just go on enjoying. Impossible. Impossible. All my joy, I was planning to have a very nice meal. In half an hour at the most, it's all over. Can I continue? No. That's the limitation of all the sensate pleasure. It comes to an end, but it doesn't give me satiation again. After some time, again the craving comes back. Again I go for it, again it stops. Just a little happiness it gives, and then I cannot continue. I have to stop. So that's what sensate, it's full of interruptions and craving. It cannot give me something unadulterated, uninterrupted happiness. But is there any happiness which is uninterrupted? You say that is not possible. Go on for the sense pleasure, whatever it gives. Let us try to fill our life with dots. That's what they say. That happiness is like a dot. Try to increase the dots. That's what happiness is. Because we can never think of anything better than that. But there is a happiness, you also will agree. If you find anyone who has developed the culture of classical music, instrumental music, or painting, you will find that when they really have developed the knack, the skill of all those performing arts which they are practicing. In the modern psychological language, they say, when your skills have met the challenge. When I start learning a musical instrument, the challenge is really great. At that time, I don't get any pleasure. I have to endeavor a lot. But after practicing, a time comes when my skill meets the challenge. Now a wonderful thing happens. You will find you get so absorbed in it, all other things starts falling off. The external distraction starts falling off. Not only that, such performers you will find are performing for hours together. They don't get in any way tired. For hours together they are practicing. They are pursuing the art which they are skilled. For hours they are continuing, and they are in a state of perpetual bliss. What has happened? That when you develop the skills, and your skills meet the challenge, you enter in the modern psychology into a state of flow. What happens? That your focus is so intense that the mind cannot register the external distractions. They fall off at the beginning. And then even your bodily feelings. Just now we were speaking of Videha Janak. That though he was in the body, he never felt he had the body. Why? So when you are intensely absorbed in certain thing, what happens? That first the external distractions falls off, and then your bodily feelings starts falling off. Because all the bodily feelings are nothing but the alarm, biological alarm. When I am hungry, that the pangs of hunger is a biological alarm. It tries to draw the attention of my mind with the help of those pangs. It's time for you to take food. It's time for you to take food. So that's how the hunger pangs is trying to grab my attention to do something so that I am bound to take food. When I'm tired, the tiredness, when I'm feeling sleepy, all those things speaks of the biological alarm system. But they also need a part of my mind. Unless my mind is registering that, those alarm system won't work. And that's what happens. When my mind enters into the state of focus, the more it becomes intense, even the biological alarm systems are not registered. And that takes you into a state of flow. Because it is the body which is constantly distracting us, it is gravitating us to a state of stupor. It is never allowing us to enjoy the bliss which comes from contemplation. So now your body has been numbed because of you have entered into a state of flow. That example which we give again, a surgeon who feels that his legs are aching, his limbs are aching, when he has to stand just for half an hour to catch a train. The same surgeon, when he is in the operation theater, operating on a patient, maybe for 8 hours he is operating. And at that time we find here, what to speak of the limb sprains of his limb. He has forgotten his hunger, thirst, nothing. After the operation he is exhausted, totally exhausted. But for 8 hours, a complicated operation he was going through, he never felt any exhaustion, any pain. Why? Same reason. Because out of necessity. What's the necessity? That when he is operating on the patient, he knows a little mistake. That the scalpel which I am using, or the operation, all the instruments which I am using, if I am little careless, it can be at the cost of the life of the patient. This necessity gives the focus. And that focus is so intense, it makes you forget of all the bodily feelings. And you can continue in that state. Now you think that when I am taking the delicacy which I enjoy, I take one donut, maybe I can go for the second. But after that, I cannot continue. But here there is a continuation, uninterrupted continuation. In the scripture they speak of it as Taila Dharavat. Just when you pour oil from one vessel to the other, the way, because of viscosity, there is no interruption. Your happiness becomes something like that. So here only you will find that how this contemplation has already started you to give a bliss which takes you to a state of perpetual happiness. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam. See, you go to ati indriya. All the indriyas starts falling off. The buddhi cannot in any way hold on to the senses anymore, because it is totally focused on the self and the self alone. So this has gone beyond that, and it gives you a state of perpetual bliss. Sukham atyantikam. And then vetti yatra nachayvayam sthitas chalati tattvata. And when you get established in that state, you never depart from reality. Nothing can distract you. These all qualities are wonderful. And in the present life, we will find that to really develop renunciation, I think I have to use my willpower, tremendous willpower. something I am getting lured to? No, I have the willpower. It speaks of constant struggle. Here they are saying that no, and that struggle, what it speaks of, that this time I may succeed, next time again when I am lured, I may fail. This constant struggle, I am not sure whether I am going to be successful all the time. As jokingly they say, that when someone was asked that have you ever tried to quit smoking? He told, yes, so many times I have quit smoking. Means they will go on quitting and again starting and quit. So that speaks of our state of mind, that we know that this time I have succeeded, I am not sure whether I will succeed next time. So here they are saying that when you reach that state, it takes you to a state of realization from where there is no question of again falling back. First, that flow makes you forget the other things. That's one way. And other, it takes at last to a realization. When you really realize the self, then all your so-called attachment falls off naturally. To give an example, we will give try to understand this idea. Swami Vivekananda is giving a nice example. That he's saying, as a wandering monk, he was traveling through the deserts of Rajasthan. And he was very thirsty. So he was thinking of quenching his thirst. So he was in search of water. And suddenly he saw a huge reservoir at a distance. He started proceeding towards it. And he found that no way he's coming near it. And suddenly it vanished. It was no more there. And then immediately Swamiji realized that, oh, this is a mirage. From his childhood, he has heard of the mirage. He has read it in the textbook. He had a conceptual knowledge of it. He thought, I know what mirage is. That you see something like a body of water while passing through the desert. It is actually hallucination. All those conceptual knowledge I had. But it was the first time I have seen it, really perceived it. So today I have a realization. There is no more conceptual knowledge. So what's the difference? Next day, again when I am passing through the desert, again I am thirsty. Again I do see that mirage. Again I see that reservoir. But today there is a big difference. Yesterday it dragged me. Today it has lost the power of any hold. It has lost the power to drag me. It has lost the power. Why? I know it's a mere projection. It's not real. So once you have developed the capacity to dive within, stop the self to be projecting out as the world of name and form. Once you realize, once you can get that interval, that after all everything what I see is the projection of the self through the mind and the senses appearing as the world. After all, there is no tangible reality. It is just the projection and projection alone. Can I ever get attached to something which is virtual? Impossible. Once you realize that, then there is no question of exerting your willpower at each and every moment of these temptations. No more need. The things in essence has fallen off. We will study. There is one wonderful idea. They call Shobhana Adhyasa. Adhyasa means superimposition. Constantly, because of ignorance, we are imposing Ashobhana, the thing which is not beautiful, on that the idea of beautiful. Constant, and we are getting lured by it. A man of realization knows it to be a projection and in no way get lured by it. So that's the idea of Vetti yatra na chaivayam sthitas chalati. He becomes sthita. Nothing can in any way deviate him. He has realized the truth. So that is the fourth condition which has been spoken of. Now we will go to the 22nd verse. What it is saying? Yang labdhva cha parang labham manyate nadhikang tatah yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. By attaining which you get that ultimate fulfillment. You know it for certain that nothing else is there in this world which is superlative to this. This is the ultimate fulfillment which I can get. Nothing else can give me that fulfillment. The joy which comes from the contemplation of the self, to be established in the self. So that is yang labdhva, by getting which cha aparang labham. All other gains, all other attainments becomes na adhikam tata. It's not more than that. This is something superlative. So these explanations, even we understand in psychology, that we give that example, that how we develop love for all the things. It's all the working of the mind. That today's necessity becomes tomorrow's obsession. All our attachments have grown that way. That what they speak of neuroplasticity, that what I, out of necessity, am pursuing today. Once I go on pursuing it repeatedly, it as if creates a path in my mind, and once the path is created, I forget the necessity. I get obsessed by it. Just an example, that you will find the entire world, one of the main reason of the lifestyle disease is too much intake of sugar. We somehow innately like sweet things. In all the food you will find, they hiddenly try to add sugar because now that will sell. Now we are becoming aware of it. But the fact is we all like this sugar, this taste of sweetness. How we have developed. That this innate love for sweetness. They say a very nice thing that as we evolved, when we were food gatherers, our ancestors were food gatherers, they were not food producers. They used to go to the forest to collect roots and herbs. They are yet to learn cultivation and agriculture. So for them a big challenge was what is nourishing, what is toxic. In nature, so many things are nourishing, so many things are toxic. What is going to nourish me? What is going to kill me? And then very quickly they found that in nature, if anything is sweet, it is not going to kill you. Other taste, there is a doubt. Anything bitter, anything sour, may be nourishing, may be poison. But if anything is sweet, it is not invariably, it is going to nourish me, it is not going to kill me. So out of necessity, our so-called predecessors, ancestors, were in search of sweet fruits, sweet herbs, sweet fruits. And our constant pursuit for sweet things, it as if created a path in my mind. And that was inherited. It went through the genes. And now what has happened? We forget the necessity. Just sweet things, as it has become our obsession. We go on taking so much of sugar in our food that it has become, instead of nourishing us, now it has become the cause of all the lifestyle diseases. Obesity, hypertension, what not. You will find it is related to that. What has happened? The necessity has got converted into obsession. We say, if you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, again and again, Ramakrishna is saying, lust and gold is Maya. The same thing. Can the world sustain without lust? Impossible. Can you sustain yourself without gold? Impossible. But you open the newspaper, you go to any news channel, any crime. Is there any crime which at last you will find is neither because of lust or gold? No. So necessity has become obsession. So that's how our mind is trapping us, taking us spirally downwards. What out of necessity I do today, and I go on repeatedly do it, I forget the necessity, it becomes obsession. And it binds us. Instead of building our life, it starts destroying us. So what's the way out? Contemplation of the self. This is the thing, how it helps. When you develop the habit of contemplation of the self, at the beginning, it may be I'm using my willpower, my mind is not getting focused. But we find in all the religious traditions, they say, go on doing it, whether you like it or not. That all the religious beliefs are so much varied. Is there anything common? I will say one thing which you all will agree. One thing is common. That what I believe, that may be different from what you believe. But is there any tradition which doesn't say, go on repeating what you believe? You go to the church, every day the same prayers they will repeat. Go to a mosque, the same prayer, the same mantra, what it speaks of. We are resorting to the neuroplasticity, first with the willpower. Most probably I don't like it. They say I don't feel devotion. How can devotion is not going to be forced? But no need. Go on doing it. Go on doing it. Whether you feel devotion or not, go on doing it. As in the Bhakti Shastra, they say that in Bengal it is a very nice sentence. Ei Horinam Nite Nite Bhakti Mukul Food Bechite. In Chaitanya Charitamrita is there. That go on taking the name of Lord, the bhakti, the devotion which is in the form of bud in your heart, that will bloom. You're not feeling devotion, but the devotion will come. How? The same thing. That what you repeat, that creates as if a path in your mind, and once the path is created, just doing it becomes your obsession, you like. So now you have designed a new type of obsession. That's your devotion. The thinking I am the self. How it helps. In a wonderful way it helps. This new obsession is something qualitatively different from all other obsessions, All other obsessions were depending on something external, but they depended on something external. My obsession can at last be of three things. Putraishana, Vittaishana, Yashaishana. My craving for having progeny, my craving for wealth, my craving for name and fame. All those things are something extraneous. I have to depend on something external, whether it is relation, whether it is wealth, whether it is name and fame. I don't have it. As long as I don't have it, I am afraid that I may not get it. However I may try, I may not get it. I am trying for a job. I may get it, I may not get it. I am trying to acquire wealth. I may not. So it is always associated with worries and tension. And when I get it, then also it is there. Worries and tensions are there. I may lose it. Relations, it may break. Wealth, it may be lost. My position in life, it may be gone. Whether it's a politician, whether it's a wealthy man, whether it's any person. Can you just find a person who is not having this worry, this fear? So all our obsessions are being attached to something external is full of worries and fears. But this new thing which you have developed, diving within, contemplating within, and by practicing you have developed a love for it. It is something which is intrinsic. No one can take away from me. No, once I developed, no one can take away from me. So this is a path which I have developed which is not in any way associated with worries and tension. So what happens when you have developed a liking for something which is having no worries and tension? Why should I go pursue those desires which are full of worries and tension? Naturally my mind will now shift towards this endeavor where I get bliss, where there is no worries and tension. Previously I was passing as if through the road which was full of traffic because there were a lot of junction. Why junction? If I get green signal, other is bound to get the red signal. If I get the job, other won't get it. That was the traffic. Here I have developed some new road. I love God, you love God. There is no question of clash. We both. That's why Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Chand Mama, Shakoler Mama. That the moon is the uncle of all. God is something like that universal relation. There is no question of clash. That my love for God is that your love for God is in no way clashing with my love for God. In relations, of course, the person whom I love, if I find someone else love, that gives me pain. But here, it is something intrinsic. In no way it is going to take away anything from me. Once I develop, it is there with me. So now I have created a bypass. In the freeway, I have created a freeway. Previously, I had to go through the junctions. There was no other way. Now, once you have created a freeway in your mind, will you ever again go through the traffic? Never. So that's how devotion for the self can never coexist with other desire. All other desires coexist because they are all having the same quality. This is of different quality. It is like a freeway. Others are passing through the traffic. So once you have developed, the others are bound to fall off. You will be traveling this and this alone. And that gives you, the more you travel, the more deeper the groove in your mind is, the more it is wired, the more intense is your happiness. It takes you to the deep flow, which nothing is obstructing. That's why in one of the bhajans of Mirabai, very nice line is there. Kharche nahi koi, chor na leve, dina dina varat savayo. payo ji maine Rama Ratan dhana payo. This Rama Ratan is such a thing. This treasure is such a thing, no one can steal it from me. It never gets expanded. The more I use it, the more it increases. The deeper is the groove, the more intense becomes joy. So there is no question of expending. Chor na leve, no one can steal it away from me. Dina dina varata savayo. The more I dive into it, the more I endeavor, the more it gives me happiness. So now you will understand why it is saying, Yang labdhva cha parang labham nanyate nadhikam. No other thing can give in this world that happiness which you get from this world. So that's why they say that those who are in pursuit of wealth, at last you find they're extremely poor because they have nothing apart from wealth. Nothing, no happiness, no joy. Only wealth, only money they have, nothing else. So they have a real joy, the real wealth is in this happiness, not from what you possess externally, what you possess within. So that's the thing. Yang labdhva cha aparang labham manyate nadhikam tata yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. So that's the last condition. What's that? When you are established in that, nothing can in any way distract you, disturb you. You become like the anvil of the blacksmith. Constant hammering is going on, but it in no way gets deformed. It's not affected. So nothing can affect you, because once you get established in the self, you get detached from the body-mind complex. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say very nicely, you become a ripened coconut. A ripened coconut is what? When the coconut is unripe, the shell and the kernel are intertwined. They are not, in any way you cannot separate it. They cannot be separated. But when it gets ripe, the shell gets separated from the kernel. If you just shake it, you will find that they have separated. Your self has as if got separated from the body-mind complex, like that ripened coconut. The shell is separate from the kernel. So now you become the witness. The way when I see you suffering, do I feel the pain? I don't feel it. Though I may be empathetic towards you, but the way you are feeling the pain, I don't feel it. I am just observing. You are the object, I am the subject. For a man of realization, his own body-mind complex becomes an object. It's not that he doesn't feel it. He feels it. But in no way there is that sense of identification. In the words of Ramakrishna, when Ramakrishna was in his deathbed, suffering from cancer, anyone used to ask him, "Sir, how are you feeling?" That wonderful couplet he used to say, "Shorir tar dukkho jane, mon tumi anande thako." The body knows its suffering. O mind, be at peace with yourself. Another Swami, his disciple, Swami Turiyananda, Ramakrishna's disciple, in his advanced age, he developed some carbuncles on his back. Now, when the doctors told that we have to put you on anesthesia for the operation, now he was a Brahmagyani. He was always in that state of samadhi, a very high state of spiritual illumination. He was a realized soul. The idea that that he will be anesthetized, he will go to a state of stupor, he never liked. Well, no, I am not ready for this. But then how can we operate? He told very interesting thing, that before operation, just let me know that you are going to operate on me and give me 5-10 minutes, and then you operate on me. It was amazing. 5-6 such operations he went through without any anesthesia. The body knows its suffering. It's not that he has created an anesthesia, that he doesn't feel the pain. He feels the pain. But he knows that he is not the body-mind complex. He has that sense, that detachment has developed. He has become the witness. Otherwise, it is just like a cabbage. Spirituality doesn't make us a cabbage. You put a knife on the cabbage, it doesn't react. So when I say spiritually illumined soul doesn't react, does he has become like a cabbage? No. He is extremely aware. That awareness is there. But he is always established in his self. The body-mind complex, in no way, that identification he has lost. So the body-mind complex may go through all the suffering, but he has transcended that. And that's the idea. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena. The dukkha may be there. It's not that he has entered a state in where dukkha won't be there. The external circumstances of life doesn't change. That goes on with his ups and downs. But it in no way can affect him, because now he is no more in the stream. He is sitting on the bank of the stream and watching the stream and enjoying the flow, whatever it may be. So that's the state. So these are the 6 states which is after speaking of in the 23rd verse. Then it will say that now you have attained this stage. Then what happens? Tang vidyat dukkha samyoga yogam yoga sanjitam. Dukkha, it's just there's a clear amputation as if from dukkha. You no more know what dukkha is. Dukkha is as if vyogam. Dukkha samyoga, your attachment with the dukkha has been amputed. When you get established in this yoga, which speaks of the 6 states through which you go. And then Sunishthananda yuktavyo yoga nirvinna chetasa. So that's why practice yoga for so long as you have not attained that result. And you should be very much persevering. That don't feel that nirvinna chetasa means nirveda. What does nirveda means? This nirveda means that, oh, I have practiced yoga for so long, nothing has happened. And we feel frustrated. Swamiji used to say that perseverance is required. That nothing happens in a day. You know that a stone is lying on the river bed. It's a coarse stone. At any time you see the water is flowing over, there is no change. But in hundreds of years, that coarse stone will become smooth. It will become Shivalinga, the adorable Shivalinga. Something liquid like water is flowing over that coarse stone in course of time, totally imperceptible. It is changing. It is not perceptible. But the change is happening. But for the change, what is the condition? The flow has to continue. Constant, it has to continue. So that's what this Anirvinna Chetasha means. Go on with your pursuit without that frustration. Oh, I have practiced so much, nothing is happening. If you go on with that perseverance and patience, know it for certain, this change is happening, and this will bring an overall transformation in your personality. I will just end with a nice story is related by Swami Vivekananda in one of his Raja Yoga lecture. That Narada Muni, he was just passing by, and he saw a rishi meditating. He was meditating, and he was meditating for so long that Valmik has grown, like Valmiki Rishi, Valmik. An ant hill has developed around him, because he was not moving, sitting still, meditating for years together. And seeing Narada, he knew that Narada is coming from the Vishnu Loka. So this Rishi told, see, I am meditating for such a long time. So can you please, when you next go to Vishnu Loka, and ask the Lord that when I am going to get liberated? So Narada said, okay, I will of course ask. I'll of course ask the Lord and let you know. And then as Narada passed still forward, now he saw a very interesting thing. That's under a tree, a man was just simply in his own merriment, just to make fun, as if to have a lot of fun. He was dancing on some music. You will see that sometimes they will be playing some music and dancing. So he was just merrymaking. He was a merrymaker. He was dancing. So he had no such spiritual practice, but full of joy, he was dancing around. And seeing Narada Muni, he also had that curiosity. He asked, so when you go to Vishnu Loka, can you please ask when I am going to get liberated? Well, of course. And next time when again Narada Muni was passing through that road, this Rishi asked, have you asked? Well, yeah. How many birds? Another 3 birds. And he was so frustrated after so much of tapas, so much of austerity, so much of practice, another 3 birds. So he was not at all happy. And now Narada Muni, he proceeded and went to that person who was dancing. And now seeing him again, he asked, have you asked about me? Well, yeah. Well, what our the Lord told? Well, he told, you just see that tree with so many leaves. As many leaves are there, so many lives you have to go through. And this man now started really jumping in joy. Well, at last I will get mukti. Maybe so many birds, but I am going to get mukti. And then that was the test. And then it was told that you get mukti now itself. So what's the idea? The story behind the idea is this, that I am ready to persevere. That never get frustrated. Okay, this is the assiduous journey. Let me do my part. There is something which is not in my hand. So what I have, I need not worry about it. Let me take care of what I can do, and the Lord will do the rest. Let me do the best, Lord will take care of the rest. That Ramakrishna's, that nice story is there, that two farmers, one never cultivated the land, knowing that this year it is going to be drought, and other thought that my forefathers have always told, don't listen to the forecast, plow the land. And he plowed the land. And suddenly the rain came, though it was not predicted. It came. Who will get the benefit? The one who has plowed the land, isn't it? The one who has not plowed is not going to get the benefit. So the grace factor is of course there. When that illumination will come, I don't know. But let me do my part. Let me plow the land and be ready. Grace can come anytime. Jesus is also, that story is there, that the bridesmaids were all waiting for the groom to come. It was quite late. They were just expecting the groom to come. They were waiting just to see him. 10 of them were there. One fell asleep. The others saw. The one who fell asleep couldn't see. So idea is, you have to be awake. You have to do your part. If you fall asleep, even when the bride comes, even when the groom comes, as if the God has came, if you are sleeping, you won't see him. So do your best. The divine will, the God will take care of the rest. So that's the idea of nirvinna, anirvinna chetasa. Be persevering in this path. It's not easy, but it is possible. And then when it happens, you know that all the suffering will be amputed as if from your life. Whether it will become something past tense. You will never know what misery is. So with this, we stop our discussion today. We'll continue again in the next class.